Hello everyone, my name is Thomas Ack and welcome to my channel. So, I got a request on making it's sort of kind of like a guide, but it's basically just me giving you tips on how to play Rise Kuchikawa. And let's start with like the basics first. Rise Kuchikawa is more like a hybrid type of character. She's pretty good with her rush downs, and she has some zoning tools that can help her out of either pushing her opponent away or getting closer to her opponent, which majority of the time you want to use them to get closer to your opponent. Symbol string, like simple block strings that you block strings. What? Simple block strings you want to utilize when playing as Rise is this. Now, after you do the sweep, you can finish off by using this as well. This sometimes catches opponents off guard, so you want to do that at times. Also, if you want to try to go with a grab, you can do something like that, or just do that. Or you can fake it out by going with the grab and just go for jump jump C. Unfortunately, you can't do much from that. You can cancel it and then go with your strings, like something like this, for example. Do something like that. I suggest you to use your burst combo when you are in an awakening. So like, you can do a combo like this, for example. You can do something like that for like to punish your opponent for grabbing. But like I said, highly suggest you saving your burst combo when you are in awakening, so you can do something like that. Or you can, after you do this, you can block and bait out your opponent for DPing, because sometimes your opponent might DP as well. And you can do a heavy punish from that. Something like that, for example. She's typically a rush down character, so you always want to try to get in your opponent's face as much as possible. And like I keep saying, you always have to have a plan on what you're going to do. Are you going to do an overhead? Are you going to fake it to overhead and go to a low? Or are you going to go overhead and then grab? Or fake an overhead, go to a low, and then go for a grab? Or do you think your opponent is going to use CP? These are the type of things that has to go through your head when you play Rise. When you're playing her, and you know, if you guess correctly, nice. If you don't guess correctly, it's okay. Just try again. Is utilizing this special, which is called Rock You. This is a really good tool to use for your Okazemi situation. So you can do, after you like your knockdown or do a sweep, immediately do that special. That's like a combo, but when you use this, you see how her notes keeps her opponent from guarding? This is a good opportunity for you to mix it up with your mix-up abilities. So I'll show you guys some examples on what you could do with the situation. So here you go. Like I said, Rise when you play as Risei, you really want to try to get into your opponent's head. Always have a plan on what you're going to do. Whether you're going to do an overhead, or go fake it to a low, or fake it and go to a grab, or try to bait out your opponents from DP. Those are the kind of situations you want to do. Now, what if you're in a scenario where you are not in an opponent's face? Well, here's what you do. In situations like this, you want to utilize her 2d6 C a little more. Before this patch, her 2d6 C didn't go that far. It came pretty close to her in 1.0, but now it goes a little bit further, which is a really good tool to try to keep your opponent away from you, which is a really good tool for spacing. Very great tool for spacing. Other tool to use is utilizing 22A, which is that, or 22B. With this, you want to guess on which one you want to do. Most typically, your opponent, when they see that special move, they typically think that you're going to use this one, the farther one. So when you get to a situation, you want to try to use this more often. Not more often, but you want to keep your opponent for guessing on like which move, which special you're going to use. This is a really good special to cover yourself and for keep your opponent from getting closer to you. And this is a good tool to if your opponent stays away, and then as soon as your opponent gets hit, you can utilize this persona attack to try to get closer to your opponent. And while we are on the topic of using this attack, you don't want to throw this attack recklessly like that, because characters like Yukiko, Yukari, and Elizabeth can punish you by, either Yukiko using her fans, or Phoenix Flame Swirl, or Yukari using her arrows, or Elizabeth using Zion. So when you're in this situation, say like if you get a hit from this special move, this keeps your opponent from retaliating or attacking. So while that is attacking your opponent, you want to call out this attack and try to get closer to your opponent. Now, when you're in this situation, there is another 50-50 situation you can do. So let me show you guys real quick. So those are like the main examples on what you can do in that kind of situation. Like I keep saying over and over and again, this is a type of character that you want to have a plan or what you're going to do when you are trying to rush down on your opponent. So always keep your opponent guessing and always trying to be, aggressive towards your opponent. Now, Risei's true potential really shines when you get your opponent close to the wall, because here Risei is very scary and has very scary mix-up potentials in the corner. So let me show you guys real quick. So those are just examples of mind using mind games when you get your opponent close to the wall. Now, before you guys ask me, you guys are probably wondering how to do some of these combos, so I'm going to show you guys. From this point on, as soon as the second hit of her 5C connects, you automatically want to do 2-2A so that it'll connect to your opponent as well. Like that. As soon as the second hit hits, immediately do 2-2A and it will connect. Now the next combo I want to show you guys, like I'm sure you guys will have a little bit of a conflict of doing, is connecting jump to B. That's what the notation is, I think. Yeah, it is. Jump to B into the platinum disc. There is a little trick that I'm going to show you guys, so let me show you guys real quick. From this range right here, you want to be a little bit close to your opponent's bottom area for it to be close, for it to be able to hit. So close to your opponent's bottom area and close to the ground, and it will connect. Like that. So first thing first, before you guys hop on to doing that combo first, I highly suggest you guys to keep practicing this first, because you can be doing that a lot and most of her bread and butters. Especially now since her jump to B is actually good now, because believe it or not, her jump to B was actually trash in 1.0, but now it's actually a lot better and it's a lot more consistent, sorta. There's like a little trick for it to make it consistent, but it's a lot better now. So yes, I highly suggest you guys to practice her air dash a lot, because you're going to be using that a lot in your bread and butters. Also, another tip that I want to tell you guys that I should be utilizing too, and I want you guys to know that too, is utilizing her physical repel special and using her magic projectile repel cast, like, which is basically this one. This repels physical attacks. This repels magic projectiles attacks. And the X version protects anything. You definitely want to utilize the physical attack if I say it's more useful if you have like 10 seconds left and your opponent is trying to get closer to you. Then use this more so you can push your opponent far and try to get away from them. That's the kind of situation you want to use. Projectile repel is really good against Zona characters like Yukari and Yukiko, for example. This is pretty useful because it's able to shut down their zoning capabilities. And also keep in mind, you guys, the cooldown has drastically decreased, so you can constantly use this over and over and over again against Zona characters, which is really good for Rise. Believe it or not, this used to be such a terrible move back in 1.0 because the cooldown of that was ridiculously long. Now that they buffed it and reduced the cooldown of it, it is extremely useful to use, and it's a must use specials against Zona characters like Yukiko and Yukari, for example. Though, one tip that I want to show you guys real quick with that. So one thing to keep in mind when using this, with Elizabeth using her Zio, this one is not considered a projectile attack. This is considered a physical attack, so this unfortunately cannot counter it. But if she do 2-6 beam, this is considered a projectile attack. I don't know why they made her 236A a physical attack, and it really doesn't do that much, to be honest. You still even take chip damage from that too, so that still won't help at all. And yeah, keep that in mind when you going up against Elizabeth. It's still useful to throw this out because Elizabeth 5B and jump 5B and I think that's it. This is considered a projectile attack, and it will always hit Elizabeth unless she cancel it. Like for example, like that. For example, they can do that if they have 50 bars to do that. Oh, wait a minute. There is one more thing that I want to tell you guys real quick. This super right here, this really helps you out. You gotta try to get closer to your opponent. You really want to mix it up as well. So you can do fake it and then you know, press 5B to make it explode. This really helps like make your opponent confused. That's really like the main use of using that special. To try to like mix it up for your opponent. And if you get a hit, you can get a combo off of that. Not that much. Unless you know you're an awakening and you can use a burst combo from that. But other than that, it's just basically a tool to help to confuse your opponent to get a hit from that. I think that's really it that I have, to be honest. No, I think that's it. If I have anything else to mind, I'll put it in the comment section below. And if any Rise mains out here who has additional tips, please feel free to comment down below and share your knowledge on Rise. This is my fair knowledge on playing Rise. So if any of you guys have any knowledge, please feel free to put it in the comment section below.